Yeah, Mercedes Schlapp knows all about what it's like to have 24 people run for the White House because they went to CPAC and you guys were there running
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
So you're strategic communications now at the White House. Mercedes, this morning the president tweeted out just about Macron and some of the blowback from his trip overseas. How would you characterize from the insider perspective how that went?
Well, it was clearly a successful trip. The president, along with Macron, had a productive meeting. They spoke about trade. They spoke about NATO. As we know, the president has talked about many times the importance of sharing the burden of paying for NATO. Yep. And the U.S. has always paid more than these other nations. And so he has sent a strong message to our European allies. And we have seen some changes and some positive shifts coming from our allies to pay more to NATO. We need their support.
We do. All right, Mercedes, let's talk a little bit about what's happening here in the United States. Down in Florida, all eyes are on the counting, the recounting. Does the White House have confidence that what is happening down south is fair?
Well, we have confidence that Rick Scott will be the next Florida senator. He's leading now by 12,000 votes, and that's going to be a hard gap to close. And so I think we've already seen with the Broward County supervisor that there have been voting irregularities for nearly 2 decades. And so, again, they've missed court deadlines, and I think we're going to get to a point where we are going to see Rick Scott coming over to Washington to be the next Florida senator.
Today? I think he was
well, I mean, this is a process. I mean, they have to finish up the process. But I think there's been a lot of criticism with how Broward County has handled these ballots. And it's, you know, look, I remember the days. My husband was down there. I was down there in Florida during the Bush v. Gore recount, and that was a lot closer. This is 12,000 votes we're talking about. That's a big gap to close.
Whose responsibility is it now to fix what's going on down there? Because it's shocking that 65 counties can get it right, and these 2 counties continuously get it wrong.
No kidding. I mean, that is a state function, and so that's why you have the Secretary of State who would handle that in these variety of states.
One of the things the president tweeted out yesterday was that there was, I think it was something about fraud or these, you know, suspicious ballots showing up. Has there been any evidence of that?
You know, again, I think this is primarily a state responsibility. The federal government does provide support. I know through the Secretary of Homeland Security that they spent a lot of time working on election security to make sure our infrastructure would be safe, so there wouldn't be any outside meddling. There's always concern about voter fraud. And so I think the key is obviously that in conjunction with state working with the federal government to make sure that this doesn't happen. But we always have to keep an eye on it because one of the greatest rights that we have and privileges is that of voting. And we need to ensure voter integrity at the state and local and federal level.
Do you look at the win by Kristen Sinema in Arizona to grab a seat from Republicans as legitimate?
Yes, I mean, I think at this point what we're seeing is that, again, there's a huge gap there in terms of Senate-elect Sinema basically gaining ground and really making sure that gap had widened. So at this point, it looks like Arizona, she seems to have won that race. And again, one of the things President Trump has talked about is bipartisanship and working with Democrats.
All right. And it looks like Mr. Whitaker, the acting AG, could face a court challenge today because he was appointed illegally. The White House stands behind him 100%, right?
No question. The president and the Department of Justice leadership has confidence in Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker, look, he has a full and legal authority under the Vacancy Reform Act of 1998, where if it's someone that's been a senior official as well as has been there for more than 90 days, could serve as acting attorney general.
All right. Mercedes Schlapp, join us from the North Lawn. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mercedes.
Thank you so much.